Hello and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jack Canfield, and with me today is Debra Lee Fader, a former mayor and international singing star who was stricken with a mysterious life-threatening illness. And in her forthcoming book, Walk by Faith with God as My Compass, she details her ongoing recovery. Welcome to the show, Debra.
Thank you so much, Jack. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Well, it's my pleasure to have you. Now, let's go into your story a bit. When did you first realize that you had a serious medical condition that you were battling with and that your life was literally in jeopardy?
It was back in 2006. It was right before Christmas, and I woke up, I got out of bed, fell directly onto my knees, and then continued to fall on my face. And the only thing that moved were my lower forearms and my hands. I had to drag myself across the carpet to a phone to let people know that I was in serious trouble.
Wow. I don't know why, but those words, fall on your knees, just came into mind. That's kind of a spiritual directive, and you took it to the far extent there. One of the things you say and write about is the expression mind over matter. Tell me more about this.
Well, it's something that my dance teacher used to teach us when we were little kids. If we wanted to sit down and not pay attention and, oh, we're tired, we don't want to work right now, she would say, mind over matter, and try to whip us all into shape. And so we would be disciplined again. And so that always has been part of my own personal message going around inside my own brain all the time. So mind over matter means to me to think about things, make sure that you push yourself to your ultimate visualization of what you see and just continue persevering. And that's what mind over matter is to me. The matter is the body. So, or the task at hand that has you upset, or the emotional circumstance that has you in a bad mood. Mind over matter. You can go past your faults and your weaknesses and be a success. So that's what stays with me.
Well, tell us a little bit about your own journey in relationship to that. I mean, here you are. You were a dancer and a singer, and you were in all these shows, and you were very successful at it. And then you have this disease that comes along and kind of literally puts you on your ground. And you obviously have come away from that. Excuse me. So how did you develop your mind over matter? This illness, this injury, it was very traumatic. Talk about that a little bit, your process.
Well, it is a process, and it is always to do the thought process for mind over matter. And this is in everything I do because it helps me manufacture the courage I need to keep going on. And this means even going to the doctor and maybe having a shot or having an infusion or taking my therapy to the next level. I just have to use that mind over matter no matter what is going on in my life. And it works for me. I would love to try to help other people try to use it in their lives.
Very good. So I think most people have experienced some kind of trauma in their life.
Yes.
And so you got mind over matter. What role did family and friends play in your journey, your healing, your transition?
Oh my goodness. I would be nothing without my family, my friends, my coworkers, the people I meet on the street every day. My husband's been a marvelous support mechanism for me. He pushes me to do more things than I think I can all the time. And it's an everyday kind of a pattern to get me past where I was the day before. And then if it's too hard, he knows to back off a little bit, but he's with me all the time on a 24-hour basis. But I do see family and friends all the time too. And the hard part is when I encounter somebody that knew me before when I was a very strong athlete, and they see that maybe on that day, I might be in a wheelchair. I might be being pushed through a crowd, and they're sorry for me. And I'm trying to tell them, trying to convey, hey, this is my best life. Who I am today is because of all the struggles that I've had. I'm a much better person than I ever was without the disability. So it allows me to help other people and be part of their team. You're not thinking, performers are notoriously focused on themselves. And this has brought me completely out of that realm. I am much more focused on other people and what I can do to help them than I was before. It was always the audience and the applause, the spotlights. And now it's life in general and being inspiring to other people. And that's my goal at this point in life.
Great. Now, your book title, Walk by Faith, rather, with God as my compass. Can you share an example? I'm curious, like, how did you, God can talk to us many ways. We could hear a voice, we can see something, we can have an intuition that comes in, or we can see signs outside and so forth. Can you give us an example when, in your life where God was your compass?
God is my compass every day. And it's funny that you brought up signs, because that is something I used to say on a daily basis when things were going well in my life and I had every physical capability on a daily basis. I would always say, oh, God, give me a sign that I'm doing the right thing. And I would see signs. But now I wouldn't even... Truly, I don't even dream of asking for signs anymore. Now it's just, I start every day with a devotion, and I start every day with prayers. And when I go to bed at night, of course, always praying, because to me, prayer is the manifestation of thought. So then when you're praying for other people, you're praying for goodness for them, and you're praying for the goodness within your family, within yourself. All of the things that may have gone wrong during the day, you have to unload those things. So for me, prayer is the constant at this point, not asking for any proof, just having faith and praying, because I do have the proof that God is in control of my life. I know that when I was laying there dying, I literally was dying. They didn't know what was wrong. All my organs were shutting down. And it was scary for everyone else around me. But I could see little angels, and they were really tiny. They were like probably 2 inches big, and they were all around me. And I knew that they were trying to lift me up. And it was kind of humorous for me, too, because I always think of angels as big and overpowering and, very powerful. And these little angels, they're there too. So that was comforting at the time. And it was a little bit of humor for me too. I'd fall back to sleep and then I'd wake up and there they were again, buzzing all around me. And I just didn't know that, but I've seen, I do have visions at times. I do have little things that happen during the day that are kind of aha moments. And I call them God things. But I'm not looking for the signs anymore. I just know that when I hear something that isn't going well for somebody else, I ask them who they are, or, what's the name of the person, how old are they, where do they live? And then I try to really focus in on that particular person and what they might need. And I hope it does something for other people. People that have done this for me obviously have helped me with my struggle. So I want to return that favor.
That's beautiful. I have one more question for you, then I'm going to ask how people can get in touch with you, find your book and all that. But you were a mayor for a number of years, challenging position for sure. Talk about that just a little bit and how walking by faith impacted you as mayor.
Okay. Well, of course, in government, you do tend to separate your beliefs, your religious beliefs, from what you're doing with your group or your community. And so the most important thing is to try to make the community stronger. And you can do that with economics and with cultural appreciation for other people. And that was the direction I used to try to move in. And I would love to see some of these barriers that were between peoples dropped. And so we would do shows, and I have such a theatrical background that I would try to put that out there in a theatrical tribute or a holiday show, and just try to make people have more of a comforting and easier way of approaching someone that was not of their same descent. So we do have an awful lot of, in rural, believe it or not, in rural Minnesota, we have an awful lot of different cultures that need to be integrated into the entire scheme of the society here. So that was very important for me to do. And then being the you're considered the celebratory head of state kind of thing in your hometown. So I would make sure I went to every event. Anytime anybody wanted me to show up for something, I was there. And it didn't matter if I was walking with a cane or using a walker, or I just made sure I always had my presence there, because if you're the head of a city, a celebrated head of the city, you better be there. So that was the most important thing for me to do. And I used to have so much fun with it. And I had people, kids would come up, that are mainly in the teenager, or they were at the time, or young adults, and they'd say, "You've made our city fun." And I knew that was, I was doing a good job at that point, when someone in that age group that always felt left out from the rest of the crowd, liked the fact that there was someone that was trying to put some humor back into the situation and cared about them. So, and I really did. And I really do. I still care about my community. It was Montevideo, Minnesota.
Well, I think there's a quote in the Bible, you shall know them by their joy. And so you're bringing joy and love and compassion and connection to people, all spiritual principles. That's great. So how can people find your book? How can they get in touch with you?
Well, there are several ways. I'm sure that they'll be placed on the screen. I have two websites going right now. One is diversity-usa.org, and that's to bring all the people together. And the other one is focused on kindness, and we call that Queen of Kindness. My friends here said, "Oh, she's the Queen of Kindness." So I thought, oh, that's kind of a cool acronym or a name. I think let's put that together and put it on a website so people can get in touch with me there. And that's at queenofkindness.org as well. They're both 501c3 charities, and we collect funds for people, and we try to help those that are maybe not doing so well in the community. And we do that. So that's what they are for.
Well, I love your book. Thanks for joining us today and sharing your life and your spirit and your joy and your insights with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jack. I really appreciate this time with you.
You're very welcome. And thanks to all of you for tuning in and joining us today. And make sure to tune in again next week, when I'm going to have another guest whose insights, experiences, and wisdom can help you live a happier and more fulfilling life. Until then, follow your inner compass. Trust trust that the universe and God is on your side. The universe has your back. And if you live life from that, what one of my mentors called being an inverse paranoia, believing everything's out to do you well, you can have the same kind of smile on your face as you see on our lovely guest today, Debra. All right, everybody. See you again next week.